How to make your advert accessible for blind and partially sighted people.
I'm Jonny Marshall. I work at the Royal National Institute of Blind People. We are the UK's leading charity for blind and partially sighted people. I work in the media, culture and immersive technologies team. We focus on audio description, accessibility in video games and other cultural experiences.
Key considerations for brands.
The key things are brands to consider accessibility from the beginning, so baking it into their processes, whether that's audio describing them or designing them so they're audio-led. That would ensure that blind and partially sighted people have a better opportunity to engage with the brands and the products.
The case for accessibility.
No matter what the content or how long or short form it is, I'd say that blind and partially sighted people would expect to have the same access to it as everybody else in the community. If a brand invests in accessible advertising, blind and partially sighted people would have a more positive perception of them because it shows that they're thinking about them and including them in the advertising element of their branding. If you're not making adverts accessible for disabled people, they're less likely to spend their money with you.
Making audio-led adverts.
So if you could think about making it accessible from the beginning, where the narrative and audio is conveying the information, you may not even need any audio description. You're going to make the advert more narrative and audio-led, so all of the key information about the product, the brand, or any information that you would like the customer to know is verbalized in the script, or any important visual content is kind of verbalized, or you can tell what's happening through the audio.
Making adverts with audio description.
But you would have to have an audio description track if it's sort of primarily images. You'd have to design an audio description track that would convey the key elements of the advert. So you'd be thinking about how can the audio description convey information about the product, the brand, any benefits of the product which might be being shown through the images. The other key thing would be if the images are telling a story, it would kind of be thinking about how you can kind of convey that information to within the audio description. But from the research we've done, blind and partially sighted people want to know who and what is being advertised and any benefits of the product.
Tips for audio description editing.
With audio description and music, it's kind of a separate thing. So the audio description would just be speech and then the music would be part of the advert. One of the things to consider there is making sure that the audio levels are correct when the audio description is added to the advert. So sometimes the music can be too loud and it blurs the sound of the audio description. Perhaps thinking about the volume levels within the music track selected can be quite important, or at least making sure that when it's edited, the audio description is still audible.
On-screen text in audio description.
In the UK, with audio description, it has to read out all the text, so that would be the kind of terms and conditions, and that kind of makes it quite rushed at the end, so the audio description will read through that text quite quickly, so it can be quite hard to follow. So you wouldn't necessarily need to include that information if you had an audio-led advert.
Reduce costs by considering accessibility at the start.
In terms of audio describing adverts, if you think about it, higher up the pipeline, you can reduce the cost of it. And it's just thinking about how you can integrate it into your processes. In recent years, the costs have come down for audio description. I think currently it would cost maybe around £1,000 to produce it. And I think as more companies get involved with it, it would have more of a positive influence for others to do it.
Credits. Featuring Jonny Marshall. Director, Jessica Boyd. Producer, Will Breeden. Camera, Alex Thompson. Editor, Ron Yeadon. Editor, Michelle Yeadon. Colorist, Ron Yeadon. Voiceover, Vanessa Vidad.